Hello children, we are going to discuss some of the topics that you were interested in. So we'll be starting with the expansion of the air. As I have already told you that when the air is heated, yes, it becomes lighter. And what happens? It expands. It rises up. Yes, and it expands. So this is what you need to know because of for understanding various other phenomena. This is something that you need to know and to keep in mind. So you can make a note of it also on expansion. On heating, air becomes lighter and it starts moving up. It rises up. So a best example with which you can learn this or keep in your mind is like sometimes in the winters you must have seen people lighting a fire, yes, and they sit, and if they're sitting under a tree you will notice that the leaves of the trees they start fluttering. Why this happens? Because this air gets rises up, the hot air, it rises up and it disturbs the position of the leaves, and that is why they start moving. So this is again to keep in mind that hot air, it becomes lighter and it rises up. The same can be understood with an activity which is given in your book on page number 159. You'll be able to see that there's a setup, and in that setup a balloon has been taken which is deflated matlab phula hua nahi hai. Yes, now what happens children, the air when it is going to get heated up, what will happen? This hot water, see, in one first case the ice has been taken, so it remains deflated, and the second case, see, the mouth of the balloon and it has been fitted on the test tube, and what happens when the hot air is there, like hot water is there, obviously it is going to give rise to hot air. This hot air being lighter, it is going to rise up. When it rises up, it starts filling the space in the balloon, and as a result the balloon appears to be inflated, phul jata hai. Yes, the same way it can be understood with the other activity, that yes, hot air rises and it expands. How? We have taken a setup. Again, you can take the help of your book, and in the diagram you can see that two paper cups have been taken, the cups that you use for like in parties and etc, where steel glasses cannot be used, the paper cups are used. So same paper cups have been taken and they are tied to a pole, and they have been balanced with a rod in the center. Now what happens children, a candle has been taken, it is lighted. Now of course when the candle is lighted, this is going to give hot air. The air over the candle will become hot. When it becomes hot, it is going to rise up. So what you'll see, this cup which was placed under which the candle was there, what will happen? It is going to rise up because this hot air is going to push it up. So it rises up, and you can easily see the change in the position in the next case. So what here you need to understand, on expansion, air becomes lighter, it rises up. This is what we need to understand, and we have understood this with the help of this activity. This is what you need to keep in mind for understanding certain other phenomena which are occurring naturally. Yes, so let's talk about the wind current children. When we talk about the wind current, what happens? It happens because of the uneven heating of the earth. Again, if you look into the diagram or without looking into the diagram, you know that the center equator is there and the poles are there on either sides. So what happens? Since the rays of the sun, they are going to fall directly on the equator portion, the center portion. So of course that portion will get heated up. Yes, in comparison to the portion, that means you can say in comparison to the poles. So here we see that because of the uneven heating of the earth, what happens? The portion that is going to get heated up earlier, from there, that portion, the air will be heated. That hot air is going to become lighter. When it becomes lighter, it is going to rise up. Fine. Now, in nature, there is something we need to keep in mind. No space can be kept like vacant. खाली नहीं होगा. अगर if air has moved out, some air from the surrounding will come and it will take its place. It cannot be vacant unless some outside efforts are done to create vacuum, until less ऐसा नहीं होता कि कोई जगह खाली रह जाए. So this is a phenomena that occurs naturally. See, again we talk about the same thing, the equator portion, the land there, what happens? The air over that, it gets heated up. When it gets heated up, it is going to rise up obviously, and now यहाँ पे जगह खाली हो गई. तो जगह खाली हो गई, it's not possible. So from surrounding, the air will again rush in up. Again this will get heated up, it will rise up. Again the air from the surrounding will come to take its place. It will again rise up because it gets heated up and becomes lighter, and this process continues. And this is what is happening when we are talking about the generation of the wind current. A sort of current is formed, a cyclic process is formed and this generates the wind. Fine. So this is what uneven heating of the earth means. Then we talk about the same way, children. It's given in your book very clearly, so you can go through the text again, and the same thing you will come across. Now in the diagram also you can see, yes, that the earth at the center, see, direct rays are there, and at the poles you will see that it is comparatively cooler in comparison to the equator portion. Then we talk about the uneven heating of the land and water. We have already discussed it when we talked about the land breeze and sea breeze. So here also the same thing, children. Again, you need to understand, you can make a note of it, that land gets heated up quickly in comparison to water. So again, what will happen, that the air over the land, it is going to get heated up. When it gets heated up, it is going to become lighter. When it becomes lighter, it's going to move up. So of course the air from the surrounding, from the water area, from the water body is going to take its place. Again, it is going to replace, it is going to get heated up, rise up. The same process continues, and this is how land breeze and sea breeze are also created. This is the logic behind the creation of the land breeze and the sea breeze. Now we talk about the disaster associated with the high speed wind. As I've told you, that high speed wind, they create a low pressure area. This is something very important for you to remember. We have already discussed it. Again, I'm telling you, when the wind is moving with a very high speed, it is going to create a low pressure area. And because of this, depending upon this logic, there are so many phenomena that occur naturally, and they result into some of the disaster. Fine. Let's talk about the first one, that is the thunderstorm. Now, as you know, children, thunderstorm, lightning is there, a lot of rain is there, yes, and we see high speed moving wind, and they are sometimes very, very destructive. So that is what thunderstorm actually mean. Now let's talk about what is the logic behind, or what is the reason behind the thunderstorm. So when we talk about the thunderstorm, children, what happens, that when the high speed wind are moving, they're going to create a low pressure area. Yes, and again, the air from the surrounding is going to take its place. This is what we already know. Now during this process, what happens, hot and, see, first of all, you need to take a pencil, you need to underline some of the things. This takes place in the hot and humid areas. First thing, hot and humid areas, this take place. And then what happens, that the drops of water, they get the water droplets, they get freezed up in the atmosphere. And then what happens, that during the condensation, you know that this process is called condensation process. Now when condensation process takes place, it is obvious, you need to know that a lot of heat is released during this process. So this is important to know, that a lot of heat is released during this process of condensation, or you can say it is a process that is simultaneous. And then the friction means when rubbing takes place, like my hand. If I keep rubbing my hand for some time, what happens? It is going to create some heat. So friction, it creates heat. And the friction, this friction generates a lot of charges. As you must have seen, sometimes, like nowadays, when you take your blanket, and sometimes your blanket, you can see chat 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 awaaz aati hai, and a lot of small little flashes of light also you can see. Yes, so the same thing happens there. So when the charges, they strike each other, then what happens? A charge is produced, and since it is produced in a huge amount in the atmosphere, so that is why we are able to see it in a form of streak of light, flash of light, which is easily seen from the earth. So this friction generates large electric charges, which are seen from the ground as lightning. So thunderstorms are the rains accompanied with a high speed wind, children, and sometimes it is also accompanied with the lightning. Lightning occurs because of the separation of the charges. So this is all about the thunderstorm. Now we talk about the cyclones. Now cyclones, again, they are storms which are of very high speed, and they are very, very dangerous. They bring about a lot of destruction. Yes, and that is why people who are living in the area which are prone to cyclone, they need to be very, very alert. So we are going to talk about it, how these cyclones are, how they occur, why they happen. Again, the same thing, the logic is that high speed wind, they create a low pressure area. Yes, so then what happens, when the center, it is the low pressure area, of course, the wind, see, the high speed wind, they create a low pressure area. So the air from the surrounding is going to come to the low pressure, from the high pressure to the low pressure. You know this, I've already told you that if wind is going to blow from the high pressure to the low pressure. So this low pressure region will be surrounded by high speed wind, again creating low pressure area, again creating low pressure area, and this process continues. So it forms us in a cyclic manner, and the center of this portion, the storm, it is called the eye. You can underline this. I have told you and I have given you in the exercises also, but you please underline this, that the center is called the eye. Then, so warm up air rises up, yes, and a low pressure area is created, and then more air rushes from the surrounding. In cyclic manner, these keep continuing, the cycle continue until a condition is created which is a very low pressure system surrounded by high speed wind in cyclic manner. So, and the center is a calm area which is called the eye, as I have already told you. And here the speed of the wind can range from 150 to 200 kilometer per hour, which is a very high speed, and that is why they cause a lot of destruction. Fine, children. Now, when we talk about the tornadoes, here also we see, as you can see in the picture, it is a column funnel-like structure, which like cloud, you can see black cloud which are reaching the earth or the ground in the form of in the form of cloud, like in a form of funnel like structure. And what happens, children, here the wind speed is too much and it is in cyclic manner, and this occurs on the land. So here we see that this is happening on the land, and that is why while movement, what it does, it takes away everything which comes in its way, and it push it upside. Fine. So this is the tornado. Yes. And here you need to know that again the column of rising hot air, it meets in the front they meet upside, they meet the horizontal column of the cold air, and the same thing occurs and cyclic in the cyclic manner. The wind keep moving, and whatever comes in their path, they take it away along with them. So this is about the tornado. The low pressure center sucks all the debris. Debris means whatever comes its way, it takes it away. Fine. Now we talk about the devastation and destruction caused by the cyclones and the thunderstorm. Of course, they cause a lot of destruction. We'll be discussing it in points first, like they uproot the trees. So many of the important, nice, fruitful trees, and trees are very important, so they get uprooted, and when they get uprooted, first of all, the destruction of the tree is not good, deforestation. Yes. Second thing is that these trees, when they fall, they sometimes fall on the houses, sometimes they fall on the roads, the way is stopped, it is stuck. Yes. So these are the things. Sometimes they even fall on the wires and the electricity supply is cut off. So these are the things. Then of course they can cause electric shock, because at that time when these type of things are happening, rains, wind speed, everything, so sometimes of course they can cause electric shock if the person is in contact with these wires, etc. Then yes, of course, in the low-lying areas, if the cyclones these occur, they cause submerging. Submerging means पानी में पूरा डूब जाते हैं. So flood sort of thing is there. Then they cause a lot of damage to the houses and buildings, of course. Then they lead to flood-like conditions, and they damage the telephone poles, electricity supply, etc. Communication system gets affected because of this, and soil fertility is also affected. Why, children? Because as you know, when the cyclone is there, when the flood is there, of course it is going to take the upper fertile layer of the soil along with it, and that is why it results into the you can say it negative way it affects the soil fertility. Next we talk about the disaster management. Now what can be done? So now see, we know that this is something very difficult to deal with because this is a natural phenomenon. So what we can do is, the only thing is, like when we get the warnings because of the satellites, yes, that have been sent to the space through our scientists, we get an alert. Now why, how do we get? They are not going to predict the future. It's not like that. They just keep seeing the pattern of the weather of that particular place which are prone to these disasters. They keep seeing, and when such patterns are shown which can create a problem in that particular area, the warning is set, and that, see, before some hours, like 48 hours, 48 to 78 hours, they give the warning, and this particular time is utilized in taking out the people from the danger area. They can be taken. Of course, we cannot help with the damage that has been caused to the property, etc., but at least the lives can be safe. So the people, they, whatever important documents, important things they have, they can take along with them. So this is the time which they utilize in saving the life and saving some important things which they need. So what is important now here? One more thing is the National Disaster Management Authority, that is NDMA. So they keep giving the warning. So what is there? We need to have early warning, and we need to be careful to it. People living in the areas near the seas and the seas, they should be regular listeners to the warning on the radios and television. Then safe evacuation is very important. Like there should be proper setup where people can move, where, like, of course, it is not something ki ekdam se tufan aaya aur chala gaya and everything is okay. It takes some time. So wherever they are going to live, that particular place should be safe for them. Then we have monitoring of sources during disaster. Of course, people need, there are some important things that people need, and they should be, of course, khana, pani, kapda, that is what, medicines, these are some important things that we need. We cannot live without them. Of course, we cannot have all the amenities, but yes, jo chahiye wo chahiye. So it should be, the resources should be provided by the government. Then rehabilitation, of course, people should, like, if the people who have lost completely everything, for them there should be homes, so that until unless they are easily prepared with the options, at least they can live there. Then safety measurement and precautions. A sophisticated cyclone warning system should be there. Sophisticated means a proper warning system which is well equipped, which is accurate, which can give you an idea about the upcoming storm. Communication, of course, the communication system should be very proper. Like, people should get people should be like, they should get the warning well on time. Then cyclone shelter and camps should be set up where people can move easily. People should avoid traveling by road or rail, because this can be problematic, of course. If you are in that, you cannot move to a safer place when you are traveling. Then fishermen should not go to the sea. This is what I've already told you. People should not drink contaminated water. See, this is a point. This happens when everything is destroyed. The water, you're not going to get safe water for drinking. But then still, please have patience. Have trust on government. See, you must have seen on the news, of course, and channels, that government keeps providing the food packets and water. So that only should be taken for drinking. Then we should be away from the electrical switches, etc., because everything is destroyed. So anyway, electric shock can be there. It can, like, people can get electric shock. So we have to be careful. Then we should cooperate with authorities. We should, yes, of course, we should relax. We should not complain. Hame ye chahiye, wo chahiye, whatever we are getting, whatever the people are getting, they should be happy with that, because that is a time when you need help. And help can be given to all the people only and only when you actually cooperate with the ones who are helping. Then people should build strong houses, of course, so that you can, like, in a way, it can be said that if the houses are strongly built, then it can help you out, so that your house remains safe from and unaffected from the cyclone and from the storm. So these are the things that we need to know about the disasters and how they can be managed. Thank you, children.